You can't force the narcissist to change. But a lot of times people think that they can get a narcissist to change. They can get a narcissist to look different, to act different, all different types of things. And they try to believe this lie that's been perpetuated, even this hope through the trauma bond of thinking maybe my person will actually change. Maybe they'll actually get better. And the thing you have to realize is a lot of times it's already sold to you by the toxic person saying, I'm going to do better. I'm going to change. I'm trying. We see this all the time when the narcissist says, hey, I'm trying, but in reality, trying doesn't do anything if they're not actually doing, if they're not actually making an effort to make this change. But sometimes people think, hey, I'm going to force this person to change, or maybe I'll get them to actually modify or get them to actually change. I was looking at a couple of things the other day and I haven't made a video on it yet, but I was thinking about it because some of you might have already seen on TikTok, especially some of the stuff going around Robbie Harvey and some of the text messages that people have been finding and some of the things and the lies that he's been saying to other people based on what's actually proof. And the reality of it is he's claimed to be a narcissist, saying that he got healed. And in one of the videos, he actually says he changed by diet and by exercise. Just so everybody knows, so everybody's clear, that's a bunch of bullshit. A narcissist can't change by diet and exercise. It will not save that person. And if you've ever watched any of those videos that make you think there's hope to save a person just by diet and exercise, you're barking up the wrong tree. Because the person that has abused you, the person that has been toxic to you, that has done so much to you, unless they're actually willing to step into the realm of honesty, there's nothing you can actually do to be able to even prompt any type of change. You can't force this change on another person. What's up, Taylor? It's good to see you. You can't force this change on anybody. People want to do that. People think maybe this person might change. Then he goes to the next relationship and starts, quote unquote, changing for the new supply. Well, wait a second. He's changing for the new supply. What was wrong with me? You're going to see this stuff go over and over and over again where the person that you think is that you're in the relationship with, you think that you change, but there's not actually any change there. How many times did the person in life say that they were trying? That they were trying to change? Maybe this was when you decided, hey, I'm going to leave. I'm going to call off the relationship. I'm going to get a divorce. I'm going to move out because of their abusive nature. Wait a second. I'm trying. I'm working on it. Don't leave now. You're the person for me. You're the person I need. And a lot of times people start to believe the lie that they can change another person. Newsflash, you can't. You can't force change on anyone. What is demonstrated? That's right, Jim. What is demonstrated? That's all you can look at. You can look at what this person actually demonstrates, what this person actually shows. I was called a bad friend, and a narcissist after I pointed out what she's done. What does he always? Why does he always relationship and gives up so quickly? Whether that's going to a new relationship or just moving on to the next person, I'm not exactly sure. I need some more context in that. A narcissist will sell you on this idea that they will change. It's called future faking. Like, hey, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to broadcast that I'm going to change. This is going to get better, and then they never actually show forth. They don't actually show and demonstrate the true actual change in their life, typically because they're not willing to be honest. Not honest with you, not honest with other people, not honest with themselves. You have a narcissist that has been cheating for a long period of time and says he no longer does that anymore, says he's no longer interested in that anymore, but he's unwilling to actually be transparent. No. Like, that's not good enough. You can't say that you're actually trying to change without actually showing the fruit, without actually showing, like, hey, this is how this person is actually changing. Why don't they take accountability? Accountability for a narcissist means that they are responsible for their actions. Narcissist doesn't want to be responsible for their actions. So, like, for me, I never wanted to admit that I was ever wrong. I was like, let me avoid this. The reason why I wanted to avoid it is because instantly it would activate guilt. It says, hey, I did something bad. And then it would trigger shame, which says I am bad. And that would be incongruent with the mask, with the version that I was actually putting out there to everybody else. Because I wanted to look good. I wanted to be good. I wanted to be this person that I was selling myself and other people on, but wasn't actually reality. Like, this piece you have to be able to understand. A narcissist will tell you that they're trying to change. You cannot force this change on them. You can't force them to get into therapy and actually have true change. You can't force them to stop cheating on you. You can't force them to actually love you. You can't force them to actually be loyal. You cannot force another human being to do the things you want them to do, because that change will not be long lasting change. It'll be temporary. It'll be in the moment, but it won't actually move forward and be true change. Why do you cheat on you, but then they won't cheat on the new supply? How do you know they're not cheating on the new supply? Do you know everything about it? Because you didn't know that they were cheating whenever they were cheating, because you were caught in the lies. Stop comparing your relationship with the next person. Stop comparing, like, hey, this person treated me this way. Now they're treating the next person so good. You're looking at it from the outside. You do not have an insider scoop into that relationship of how it's being manipulated, controlled, and changed inside that relationship. There's not true transformation because that person is not willing to be honest with themselves, admit it, and turn from it, and actually decide, hey, this is what I'm not going to do anymore. And actually show the transparency, build the trust back together. This piece you have to be able to understand that narcissists don't change based on what you do. So we got to a place where my wife wanted me to change. She wanted me to realize I was a narcissist. She wanted me to realize I was abusive. I didn't care. I wanted to keep doing what I was doing. I didn't care about her. I didn't care about anybody else. It was just me, myself, and I. That's the only thing I cared about. So when I finally started to realize and understand that my reality wasn't all of what was actually there, that there was other people in the world, that I wasn't the center of the universe, that I wasn't right about every single thing. And I started to realize that I have a relationship with shame that is taken over my life in a lot of different ways. And I started to realize this emotional immaturity, like how I communicate differently, how I don't care about other people different, all these different pieces. Finally get to the place where I get put into a sex addiction intensive of like, hey, what is actually going on? Are you a sex addict? Answer coming out of that was no. What I was a narcissist. I'm a narcissist that showed up in an abusive way consistently for a long period of time. So then I started getting into therapy. First, went to EMDR therapy. You'd be like, hey, that's going to help him process, work through all this stuff. So he's no longer a narcissist, right? Nope. Went to EMDR therapy. Guess what? Didn't do much. It processed some things. It got a couple things out, but it didn't change my behavior. Part of that was still forced. Part of that was still something that's like, okay, I just need to do this. When I got to the place after EMDR, then I was like, okay, then I'll just continue this. I'll go to regular therapy. At that point, I was actually more open to it, thinking like, okay, I might need help. I didn't like my situation. I didn't like the relationship I was in. I didn't like not being able to be with different affair partners. I didn't like all this stuff, okay, because it's still about me. So I get into the therapy, start the therapy. 6 months into the therapy is when my wife left. Because even in the EMDR and then even in the regular therapy, there still wasn't change. And what she started to realize is that she cannot force change on me. No, you cannot force change on another person. But you'll start to sell yourself a lie that you can. You'll start to hope that you can modify him. You'll start to believe that you might be able to keep him from cheating if you show up differently, if you look better, if you respect him more, all these different things that are a bunch of lies. My wife left because she didn't see changed behavior. She didn't see me actually show up in a different way, because I wasn't showing up in a different way. I was going through the motions. There was pieces of that was putting in the reps. There's pieces of that was me starting to learn and understand things, but they didn't actually come to fruition of me actually showing up in a changed way. And I didn't realize till a bit later that I wasn't actually seeking change. I was seeking something different than it. And that's called transformation.